right, Kayfabe crew. I think we worked out the technical challenges, and this will be a good stream. This will be a good gory session too, I think. Let me just get everything set up and ready to go. And we'll launch into things. Jeff Draw, what's up, homie? If people recognize your name, you might be getting a lot of questions. We'll do a gory ink session this time. Now that I think the technical issues are all taken care of. Then we'll see what happens. Shouts. What's up, everybody? Not doing commissions right now. Might do some in the future, but my plate is full doing this monthly Red Room comic. I want to give big shouts to everybody who pre-ordered the thing so far. And if you haven't done so, jump on that stuff immediately. Here's a little link. Let me see. Boom. Hit that link. Pre-order Red Room issue 1. We sold several hundred copies of the thing overnight. Let's go for 1,000. Let's go for 2,000. What the fuck? Why not? Working on the 5th issue right now. The Rat Queens issue. 3 separate stories going on the page at once. Let me go grab some of the other pages, just kind of catch you up to speed. Alright, let's see here. Alright. Check out this crazy shit. So let's do the run through on, like, this panel. This set of panels will continue on this exact part of the page on the next page. So like this is going to be in color. This is a chat room window. So you're just going to see like the moment to moment transitions there. And this is a separate story, you know. So it's 3 stories on each page. And let's do a run through for what I call the Rat Queens segment. And the idea is, and the way Red Rooms work, it's like this is very sick entertainment for sick people. And they have the anonymity of the dark web. They have no fear of getting captured. The people who make the videos have no fear of getting captured. The people who use the chat rooms have no fear of getting captured. They pledge Bitcoin and ask for requests to be processed. And sometimes the killers on the screen will do just that. But this guy, this killer in this one, he's like an auteur. He's an artist, and he doesn't take requests. You know, he doesn't take commissions. He just kind of sets up scenarios and works them out. So this is the rat queens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 inbred factory farmed rat queens. Got our dude entering stage left. You see the silhouette. You see the tomahawk. The frickin' hatchet. He's gonna wake these suckers up. Rude awakening. Boom. Chops off an ankle. That gets this rat queen to start the Rube Goldberg machine of waking everybody else up by pulling the hair. You see a couple faces right there of people not doing so well, and someone in the background there putting those hands up like, what the fuck? And you see all the rat queens are up. This one's going for the gnarly ankle like, ah, man, this freaking sucks. But you can imagine with that rude awakening, they're not very happy. Here comes the pounce. Good excuse to draw big, cool, gory scenes on every single page. You see that blood spurt, man? That's like straight out of like those old Wu-Tang Shaw Brothers movies. Look at that. Dispatch the beast that hurt you. And then it's just a frenzy. Just a frenzy. But whenever one rat queen gets, you know, useless, becomes dead weight, our guy there, we call him the decimator, he's there to dispatch the dead weight. But look at that right here, man. Caught the ankle of another one of the rat queens. There's the head flying off, but the hair is all still tied together, and they're all just in a panic. So now that new one that got its ankle jacked is getting fucked up. More and more and more, as his head is just flopping all over the place. As you can tell, it's an all ages comic. More and more and more. Boom. Oh, those pages are out of order. This page should have went before the one we just saw, because now you got two heads flopping. Now, where we're at, 3 heads flopping. And we got a good drawing today. Let me check out this text, and I'm going to get back to business. One moment. Roy, thanks for that pre-order. One second. All right, here we go. Don Davis, you are correct. We're taking that stuff back, man. Putting some hardcore shit on the streets. Punker Mike. I hear you, man. Red Room has corrupted me. But I want more comics like this on the stands. You know, it's like I said earlier, man. Success breeds imitation, and I wouldn't mind seeing some gnarly stuff on the racks, man. Add a little bit more danger back to the game. A little bit more scuzziness. We've let the academics, man, do their thing. Let's remind them what comics is. Comics can be lurid. Comics can be hardcore. Why not? That's where my mind is with the stuff. Alright. Getting the screen oriented just so that I make sure that I don't go off screen. Man, that's a little bright. But the ink is good. The ink is what matters. These pencils aren't shit. when you guys check in and say what's up, let me know if you ordered the if you pre-ordered the comic. Like, I'm super curious. When I got word that a few hundred of these suckers are accounted for already, day one, I want to see where the limit is. And I think the limit is very high. This is like injury to the eye. And what's happening is this rat queen is kneeing this one in the jibs, and that one already has its eyeballs kind of pulled out of its head. So we're gonna see some physics on those eyeballs while she's catching that knee to the jaw. Joe, thanks a lot. That's the other thing. This is going to be available in all the typical channels, you know, like through comic shops, all that sort of stuff. So if you got a cool comic shop in town to support, by all means, order it through them. But you cannot take it for granted that they'll order the thing, just because times are crazy right now, and lean times, to be sure. They don't know how to order a new book. They don't know what kind of chances to take, so you gotta let them know that you want it, so that they can make sure that they have one on deck for you. And when you ask for it, remind those people, man. Remind your shop that this is coming from the Cartoonist Kayfabe YouTube channel. Those guys are some self-promoting schmucks, man, and they talk about their comics. Jim and Ed talk about their comics on every episode, every day, to tens of thousands of people. That'll pique their interest. That'll get them to order a couple of copies to have on deck, you know, if they like making money. If their comic shop isn't just a drug front or something. Which I'm pretty sure has existed at one time or another. The comic store drug front. I've been to a shop or two where I was like, why do they have so much great stuff, all these leather couches, and I never see anybody buying anything in here? Oh, Bill, that would be so awesome. You know what? You're not the first one to kind of trick your wife. Like, there's a lot of wives that are getting tricks played on them with this Red Room comic. I just hope that they open up to a good page, like where, you know, somebody's getting their ear cut off or getting their eyes ripped out. I'm trying to draw this jaw, just kind of like getting fucking jacked up. So I'm using a G pen nib right here, and just using it for like the main thicker lines. Yo, Quentin, you gonna sell me a copy? I mean, sell. Can't be selling a bootleg, but send me a copy. I want to check that stuff out. I'll show it off on the channel. Add it to my bootleg collection. I only have 2 bootlegs that were sent to me so far. Two good ones, too. One of my challenges with this is trying to keep these creatures kind of as malnourished looking as possible. But it's so hard. Because they almost have to be like stick figures. And I keep drawing them with a little too much muscle definition sometimes. But I've been using a mixture. Like, I'll hit it with the G pen for a bit, and then get in there with some fine liners. I grew to love the Copic fine liners above the Microns. Got a set of them when I was in Japan and started digging them way more. It's not going to exactly be a core cast of Red Room characters. One of the things that I do want to bang the drum about is that each story is a self-contained story. So if you have a lean month or something, like you got to tighten the belt, don't trip. Like, the comics that you got, you know, will tell a complete story. That said, if you're digging in the crates at a future comic convention and you just come across an issue that you don't have, scoop it up and it's a complete story. You don't have to look for any others. That said, there will be, you know, some stories that continue a character's arc in a certain way, just focusing on a different facet or something. But all of this stuff is, you know, singular work. So these characters here that I'm focusing on, not the ones that I'm drawing, but the top and bottom story, they're your intro characters from issue 1. And this is issue 5 that I'm working on right now. But believe it or not, I have 5 issues done. It's just there's an issue 0 that may or may not be available for the sum total of $0.00 when the time comes. Hint, hint. This is atypical right now for me to be drawing this big. Like, in most of 2020, I was drawing on 9x12 paper and having a lot of success with that. It really sped up my process a lot, almost by double. But the reason why I'm drawing on big paper right now is because there's going to be a lot of characters in this panel, and I wanted to do some color on this tier, and I just knew that I was going to have to draw fewer lines on the color, and I got insecure. Like, I wanted to be protected a little bit from the reduction, you know, sharpen up the drawings. So I got 9 pages to go on this issue number 5. And then I'm going to go back to the smaller 9x12 paper. Shouts to Fuckator's Jason Carnes. I was looking at some stuff that he posted recently on Facebook, and I really like the way he draws gnarly fingernails. So I'm going to steal a little bit from that. Boom. I might make that pure white. I just use Strathmore Bristol, cheap stuff. Little severed head here. I use Strathmore Series 300, which is, the bottom tier toilet paper of Bristol. All the much better cartoonists that, we all know and love always make fun of me, like, at shows and stuff. Strathmore 500, it doesn't cost that much more. Aren't you a pro? You could write it off on your taxes. And the truth is, I just, don't care. These tablets are easy to find at your local Michael's or whatever. Have no idea about like real neck anatomy, so let me just add some little arteries and stuff. I think only the truly psychotic would check my work to see if I abided by true anatomical structure. Boom. There's one severed head, and then I'm gonna do some cool directional stuff with just gore coming out of that thing, man, and following a certain trail. The point is to always gross myself out. If I don't gross myself out with the illustration or the concept or the idea, then there's really no point in pursuing this story. And sometimes it's like it's not the visual, sometimes it's the idea. And like, the stuff that I'm playing with here, trying to think of this kind of a world in as many angles as possible. It shouldn't be that hard to make myself uncomfortable as I continue, like the second issue, there's sort of an answer to a question I had of like, well, where do they procure their victims or something. Number 2 is going to hit stores the very following month. Like it's all getting set off in May, so I'm going to work like a fiend now because it's not all just fun and games now. Like now there's a schedule involved, and now there's a publisher and distribution and printing and all those machinations required to make comic books happen. It's all ready to go. So every month there'll be a fresh issue, though there will be a month off when the trade comes out, but there will still be a Red Room book in shops. You understand? Just don't want to compete with myself on the rack. Want to give the book a little bit of room to breathe. There are many different audiences that one can tap into. I give major shouts out to the early adopters who support the Patreon and who have already read the first 2 issues. They're on to a 3rd issue of content already. So they're the kind of, they're the early adopters. They're my core fan base. And some of them will, continue on and check out the issues. Some just like the idea of supporting a work in its early stage. then when the books come out, they're going to be the people who are digging the monthly comic, who are getting that little adrenaline shot, having an actual cool monthly comic that they could purchase. Uh, you know, I would like to share in that at some point myself. And then there'll be the people who want to fuck with the trade paperbacks. And there are also people who might be interested in just scooping up the final big book that will, contain everything. And a very small percentage of the audience will be the people who will just check out everything, the completest energy. So you're going to be able to get this in any number of ways. These gnarly spines. Ridiculous. In my experience, there is no such thing as luck, Electric Bilbo. It's impossible to work at the Japanese pace without assistance. But working on the smaller paper, which this is not, has doubled my output. So that's nothing to sneeze at. One of the big regrets and sort of big lamentations that seems very common in art and comics in specific is just that urge to want to be able to get more ideas out faster, draw quicker, create more in a shorter amount of time. And it definitely cracked a little bit of a code for me to be able to double my speed. But this is another, like I said, this is one of those lag moments where I'm drawing big and it's taking me down to that place again where it's like, 3 pages a week if I'm lucky, which is not conducive to monthly comics. But I worked ahead enough to allow this indulgence. Let's see, what do we got here? I'm trying to, there's a lot of overlapping body parts. Ben, what's up? I have no problem with the 16-hour day, mind you. It's just the amount of assistance that they're able to procure because of the money that they make. The readership levels in Japan are just far higher and create more opportunity for assistance and being able to pay somebody to help with the nonsense stuff. Like when I'm done with the character inking on this page, I'm going to have to spend a half hour drawing the speed lines, and that would have been awesome to have an assistant just tackle that part. But then at what stage would I be comfortable letting an assistant touch my stuff? So we just do things way differently here. If you guys would like some cool insights into the Japanese style of comic book making, I implore you to check out the Felipe Smith shoot interview that we did this summer. One of the only Western cartoonists to kind of crack that code and make his way into the Japanese system. And he talks about the trials and tribulations of like what that involved, and some of it will give you damn straight up anxiety. He was talking about things like not even getting even close to proper sleep. He said something about he would sleep with the light on in his apartment so that when he would finally go to sleep, very late at night, whenever he would start to just rustle a little bit and sort of come out of unconsciousness, and he would like kind of like recognize that light when his eyes were closed, that would be his indicator to just get up again. That's hardcore. That's very tough. Right now I'm using a G-Pen nib, one of the Japanese brand. Staple of the mangaka. Using a lot of manga tools on Red Room. Definitely an influence from my travels and kicking it with a bunch of Japanese cartoonists for a month. So after this, like I'll use Copic, fine liners, you know, that's something that's easily available here, but I was inspired to use it from the mangaka who I've seen using it. Oh yeah, we got a leg here. Give me some cool horror movie recommendations and stuff. I have to stay in a very dark place for the next year while I make this comic. I'm like a method cartoonist. Joe Dent, I think the UK comic shops are going to be able to carry Red Room when the time comes. Once again, just let your shop know that you're interested, so that you don't take it for granted and they don't pick it up or something. I think any good shop is going to carry it. I would bet Forbidden Planet will carry it. We'll carry the comic. Oh gosh, was that a shop? I think. I do business with them for sure. They know what I sell. Martyrs, yes, very good. I saw that last year while working on this, and I freaking loved that we were kind of syncopated. Like, there are things that I did in my comic that are in Martyrs, and I did it before I saw the flick, but it felt like I was in sync with the creators. It was very cool. That actually happened as well with Jack Ketchum novels. There's a book series, the Dead River series, Offspring, Off Season, The Woman, and a couple others. But there's even like language specific stuff in my comic that mirrors Jack Ketchum books, and I've discovered that like afterwards. So it's just like, this is a comic I'm supposed to be making. It's a crazy comic. In some ways, it's an inspiration for just even creating the YouTube channel, because I knew I was going to have to do a lot of promotion of this thing myself. It was going to be different than the built-in audience of X-Men, the built-in audience of rap music. and I'm not one to kind of like rely on anybody for any part of the process. I'm just using Speedball ink, cheap stuff with this G pen, but one of the things that I would suggest that you do, because ink is very vexing and temperamental, and the humidity in the room can change the viscosity of it. So, maybe cut your ink a little bit with some water. A little dab will do ya kind of thing. You don't want to turn it into like a wash solution, like an ink wash solution, but put a little of that in there. You got to stir it every day before you start. Every time you got to stir it up. There's also a chemical called Bestine that you can find in your art stores that kind of reacts with ink and thins it out. That's something that they got us to use in art school, but I do think it's probably slightly hazardous, and it's definitely a scary chemical to use, because when you get that shit on your skin, it doesn't stay wet for long, meaning you just watch it absorb into your body, and who knows what the hell is happening there. So use that shit at your own risk. Audition, yes, I was telling people about Audition very recently. Zipatone is impossible to get, but Zipatone is like Kleenex. It's a brand name, and Zipatone just doesn't make dot patterns, dot screens anymore. Taking up that mantle now is a company called Deleter, and the Japanese use dot screens very regularly in their process, and you can find them online no problem. On the earlier stream today, worked out the kinks, so I got rid of that stream, but I'll probably keep this one up. Let me, I'll sort of show you what I used. Give me 1 second. Let me just scoop it up. So you learn shit when you come to the Cartoonist Kayfabe streams, man. You got to hit that bell so that you know when our streams go live. This is Deleter screens, and the discovery I made, one of the things I literally had on my laundry list of like things I needed to accomplish out there was figuring out exactly the flat gray tones that the mangaka use, at what size paper they apply these tones on to get it to be a pleasing gray without any moire patterns or whatever. Because like when you reduce these dots, it could create a weird kaleidoscope effect or something. So they use the SE60 series for the basic grays. So I just picked up one of each of those, scanned them in so that I could use it infinitely. And you apply it to artwork that is around 9 by 12, fits within those margins. And at that rate, the art can shrink down comfortably to tankobon size. So what is that? That's 6 by 9 or 6 by 4 or something like that. Comic pages, comic books are bigger than that. So if it's not moiré and fucked up at that super tiny size, it's not going to be fucked up with the bigger size. Now, back to our regularly scheduled program. Oh, this is a different page. I got a bunch of pages penciled yesterday just so that I could do like a ton of ink streams. Because what needs to happen is we need to see articles about how Red Room pre-orders went out in the thousands. So if you haven't done it already, hit that link, pre-order Red Room, get the first printing. Every single project I've ever worked on sells out its first printing almost instantaneously. I doubt that this will be an exception. So with that in mind, man, like give us an idea on how many of these things to print, and best way to do that, pre-order the sucker. Tokyo Gore Police. I have that ready to go. Can't wait to watch that one. Great title alone. Tokyo Gore Police. This middle tier of panels is going to be duotoned, kind of like my other stuff. PBR, thanks for that super chat. I want to have a couple extra pages in the Red Room issues. Got to figure out some use for them. Fan art is a possibility, not ruled out. One thing I definitely want to see once conventions start up again, and shit, even before that, I want to see Red Room cosplay. I want to see a bunch of scary motherfuckers freaking out the Deadpools of those cons and stuff. So every issue I'm trying to introduce some cool new characters and designs that I absolutely want to see brought into cosplay. I love that stuff. Yeah, no Rat Queen cosplays. I think that Poker Face is going to be a kind of breakout character. And if you guys are on my Instagram or any of my other socials, like you know who Poker Face is. And I say that because I already know 2 people who have Poker Face tattoos. And Poker Face ain't even in a comic book yet, you know? So that's going to be a good design. I think that's going to be a design that is going to have a lot of legs, but I'm trying to introduce cool shit in every issue. You know, this is my world that I'm fucking around with, man, and I want it to be a very rich world, and I don't want to just be idle with the creations. Joe Anderson, thanks a lot for that super chat. And thanks a lot for supporting the project, and thanks so much. You know, like multiple copies on hand ain't a bad thing, man, because you're gonna have somebody in your life who might not even be a standard comic book reader, but are into this kind of gore horror stuff. They'll fuck with this comic, no doubt. And I sort of design it to be very legible to somebody who isn't a standard comic reader. You know, this is a very clearly constructed story, not like those ones where I'm sure you all have somebody in your life that you try to put a comic in the hands of and they were just like, I just don't know how to read comics. Because sometimes comics they fuck up, you know, like the cartoonist screws up and makes you have to read it twice because you don't know where your head's supposed to go. Yeah, super good instinct, Joe. Thanks a lot. Whenever I put my comics together, I always think of like new readers. Even when I was doing the X-Men thing, like my thought was, let me hook this up for people who've never read X-Men comics before. And then people who have read X-Men comics were salty little bitches, but that's another story. Rivers of gore. I'm just getting these big bold lines down up front, and then I get molecular with the markers, and then there's another level of drawing that's done digitally, you just putting more textures using the duotone, and I'll do a video about that stuff, show off my favorite duotone comics. It was such an awesome aesthetic. Electric, I sort of empathize. I don't know how old your kid is, but I have a very young sister, and I kind of make these comics for her and her crew to just dig. Whenever I put a new one out, or whenever I finish a new one, I just give it to her and her friends, and they're super down with it. But they're also cool chicks, like they're not, salty lames, so they like gnarly flicks, gnarly horror stuff. Yeah, thanks for coming through, Joe. Massive Panda, it's been a while. We haven't streamed for the past 25,000 Kayfabe subscribers, so it's been a minute. Though I want to give you guys mad props for doing whatever the heck it is you do that is making more and more people discover the channel, because things are getting exponential. We have about 150,000 different people who come check out the channel every month. Over 500,000 videos get watched every month. Staggering numbers that I'm just a goofball in Pittsburgh, I don't know what 500,000 is. I don't know what 100,000 is, and to be sure, I don't know what 240 is. That's a big number to me. I won't think about it too much for fear of freezing up. I wanted something cool on every page of this issue, like cool meaning gory and gnarly and all that. And I also, because these videos are the lifeblood of Red Room, this is like the first issue where you're gonna see like a complete Red Room scenario video from start to finish. And I might play with this format again, like keep one video going throughout a whole issue while another story happens throughout the comic. It's super important to beat home that every issue is self-contained, and I have so many ideas that whenever I finish this, I'm basically going to just be like, all right, Jimmy, I have this idea, this idea, this idea. What do you think is the cooler one? And I would never tell him an idea that I wasn't dead set on doing anyhow. So it's like I get his feedback, I get several feedbacks, and then proceed from there. But I never exactly know what the next issue will be. We gotta do a shoot interview with Billy Tucci sometime, man. I'm super fascinated about the success of the She comics back in the day. You know, I thought that was pretty remarkable stuff. It was a color comic, which was very, very, very atypical for the time on an independent level. Also, independent meaning even a self-published independent level. Sort of came out of nowhere, achieved a lot of success. I would wonder if he would be honest about certain things, because I do think that Wizard magazine has a major part to do with that. But what does that mean? You know, like our palms greased or something to kind of like help that going. I think if you listen to the channel and listen to the other interviews, you know, like I ain't shy about asking those kind of questions. You know, not sure what the answer would be, but I would at least ask and try to figure that out, because it's just a very interesting career, very fascinating. Was he a teen? I don't think so. Because I know that he was in the military. So if he was a teen, I guess he would have been 18, 19. We're still working out the details on the paper for the print issues. Not glossy. This isn't a glossy comic. But actually, maybe these pages would be for issue 5. Not the first 4. Not the ones that you pre-ordered. But this one, I'm playing around with the production elements a little bit differently. Too boring to talk about, but the lines are going to be very, very sharp and should be good looking on a glossy paper. Alright, I think that's the bulk of the dip pen lines that I'm going to put down. Got in touch with James O'Barr. Believe it or not, he said that that he doesn't even have a computer. So we didn't have very much success with doing shoot interviews by way of using Zoom on the phone. You know, like that was our Shelley Bond one was like that, and it wasn't so great. The sound quality wasn't so awesome, and we had to reshoot a bunch. But man, I would love to do a James O'Barr shoot interview. Absolutely. Gotta let this little piece dry just a touch. You know what? I'm gonna go grab a drink real quick. I'll be right back. Alright. I hope it doesn't make like a effed up noise whenever I put my cup down like that, because the microphone is attached to that. Anyhow, I want to show you guys something. I just pulled this as well. You ever see this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles autobiography? This is the inspiration for some of the line work in Red Room, and I'm going to do a video about this. But you see how, like not Turtles comics specifically, but this approach with the autobiography, where artwork is done duotone board, but over time that duotone, it's not archival. It's a shitty, corrosive chemical process that looks like it's like sepia toned, right? And that's what the art is going to look like in Red Room, where the lines that you're watching me ink, you know, under the microscope here, going to be thick, bold black lines. But then there's going to be the duotone, and it's going to be about 50% gray, like this, because I think this is just super pleasing looking. It looks a little weird on the screen with this webcam. It looks a little extra yellow, but I am actually even putting a little yellow on the paper too, just because there are very, very few cartoonists who are good at stark black and white. And guess what? I ain't one of them. Not by a freaking country mile. So gonna add a little bit of color to it to just make the presentation a little bit warmer. Not Snapple, Kavita Kombucha. Yeah, no, I would fucking love to talk to James O'Barr. We connected on Facebook, like I said, and that his art inspires this comic too. You know, like this is obviously way more hardcore than The Crow, but the aesthetic, the artistic approach. Why is that so fucking fucked up? All right, there. But when we connected on Facebook, it was pretty funny because he saw the duotone boards, and he immediately asked about it. Is that duotone? Because that paper has been long gone for decades, probably close to 30 years at this point, definitely 25 years. And he was so good at it that I'm sure he would have been like, who's your connect? Like, let me get some of that. But what I ended up doing was just... Why am I using all the wrong fucking tools? What I ended up doing was just developing full sheets and scanning them in so that I could use them forever. Alright, where should I begin? Let's see. Let's get some shadow under here. Expect some sound effects when I ink. Comes with the territory. When we start getting into the hair, that's where shit is going to get wild. Oh, no doubt. O'Barr on the Mount Rushmore for you, for everybody. O'Barr and Vigil, permanent positions on the Outlaw Comics Mount Rushmore. The rest can be up for debate. Vince Locke is probably on there. Yeah, I'll be destroying an 005 micron when I get to the speedline stage of this page. Ooh, I should put like veins in these boobs. It was too hard for me to keep track of this whenever I was doing the penciling, and It was just adding a lot more time there, because now with a monthly comic there are certain time constraints. So one of the things I was going to do was make each of these characters look a little bit individualized, but like famous, fucked up characters. So like, I was like thinking like maybe one will look like Rocky Dennis from the Cher movie, and then the other one could be like, I don't know, the Elephant Man. But I've already run into continuity issues where sometimes these characters will have two fingers, sometimes they'll have webbed hands, sometimes they won't. Uh, my hope is just you don't look too closely. No, I haven't heard any story about wrestler Sting messing with James O'Barr, but I definitely wonder what the hell he was doing with the still in the Crow gimmick. That's something I was always curious about. Just being lazy and don't want to use a brush to don't want to clean a brush right now. Actually, nah, you know what? There's so much to do. I'm just trying to prioritize. Shadow under these eyeballs that are popping out of his head. Look at this shit. Where is it? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous comics. What the fuck are you guys pre-ordering here? Your parents would be very disappointed in you reading these kinds of comics. In fact, let me give you that link again. Make sure you make mom and dad real mad. Said jokes on you, they already are. That's funny. There's like several levels of extra detail and stuff that I got to do here, because like once you do the shadowing, like the shading and all that, then these people are cutting each other apart with their fingernails and stuff, so they all have to just, they have weepy bloody wounds anyhow. Yeah, like we're talking with Rob about doing like another one. It's just we're having way more, like our gym schedule and my schedule is very very tight at this point, and doing interviews and just moving the camera around, moving the setup around is an extra 15 minutes that we could have shot a whole nother video that, gets maybe even more attention. Like you guys seem to like our regular video, like when we comment on stuff, more than interviews and stuff. So, gotta go with what works right now, especially with the time constraints that we have. Monthly comic, crazy grind. You can only imagine. What did Todd say in his shoot with us? Here's the mantra: 5 pages a day. No, 5 pages a week. 5 pages a week. Well, I could get about 3 done at this size per week. It's not, that doesn't work. So I'm gonna have to be speedier on my next stuff. Still keep that quality, but I also worked ahead quite a lot so that I don't run into deadline problems. I'll be very surprised if I hit into a deadline problem. I'm gonna knock on wood right now, but the only way I really see that happening is if there's a scary COVID scenario that puts me down for too long or something, or somebody that I love for too long. But hopefully that doesn't happen, obviously. That should go without saying. Yeah, the Todd McFarlane interview kind of set them all off because he reached out to us. Like, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. It was supposed to happen in November before, so it was even before we had our first anniversary of the show's existence when he hit us up. But busy guy, had to reschedule a bunch. But then after you do Todd McFarlane, it's like, who could say no to us? We already got like one of the top dogs. Actually, once you wear these 0.5 or these 0.5 Copics down, you could get some cool feathering. Like, that's brush level feathering. No, like McFarlane, when he was really firing, and I'm talking about when he's doing, there was that one period of time where he did the Alien Alliance books. So he'll do like one issue of Alien Alliance that's like 60 pages. Basically, he did 100 pages in a month, pencils and inks. He did the Alien Invasion book. Spider-Man was bi-weekly, so he did 2 issues of that per month, and also an issue of Incredible Hulk. Might have had some inking help on some of that stuff, but he was also inking some of that stuff also. So I think he could do the 5 pages, man. If he could do 100 with some of them just pencils and stuff, I think the dude could do 5 pages a week. If you ever watch the HBO show, the Spawn cartoon, it shows McFarlane at the beginning inking. And I remember as a kid, my dad man, he really draws with that pen very fast. We all have that early thoughts that you're supposed to be all precise and slow. But the stuff I like has quick strokes to it. But you know what? I like shit that doesn't, that has precise strokes too. Yeah, the David Cho interview was great. I love that guy. Just such a great thinker. Such a great creative soul. He's real. He's not faking that shit. That's the sound of the gore coming from his head. Give it that sweeping motion. Then add a little bits here and there. The amount of blood that comes out of this head can't even be contained within that capsule. There's so much of it. That's what you came to see. That's why you guys are here, you sick fucks. Yo, Jake, I ain't playing, man. I kind of still do have sound effects to my shit. I'm not doing like performance art. It doesn't feel right if I am quiet and professional about it. See, that's the sound of gore. Yeah, Tom's the man. I look forward to getting him back in the house. This COVID shit just ain't no joke, man. Jimmy and I already, like, we're holding our shit down and keeping a super small bubble and all that. Like, we want to keep the channel going. Like, now, especially, like, everybody's a captive audience, so we want to deliver as many videos as possible. We're keeping the bubble small. And, you know, don't want to just add too many bodies into the mixture. My pops really does say that. My favorite character from your show. Christopher Morris, Australia. Super dope, man. Thanks for checking out the channel. Good morning. Good Sunday morning to you. Now that the gang's all here, now that we're international, and we set it off in that way, tell me where you guys are coming from. Where you guys streaming from? Let's hear some locations. Where is Kayfabe reaching? Ann Arbor, hometown of Dandy Don Simpson. Shouts to the LA homies. Edinburgh, nice. Look at how far the reach is. Can you imagine? Like this wouldn't have even been in anybody's imagination, you know, 15 years ago. Alexandria, Virginia. That one makes me nervous, man. How far away is that from Quantico? Are you going to put all the Red Rumors, all the pre-order people on a list? Shouts Pablo. Chile's on the list, man. I need to go. I need to see what that town's about. It sounds so cool. My dad went there for work a couple of times and had a lot of cool stuff to say about that. Philippines. That's awesome. I was hoping to get some Asian representation just so that we could say, I guess we're on every freaking continent right at this moment. No, where's our one dude from South Africa? What time of day is it there? New Dimension in Homestead, you know it. I could walk to that motherfucker, man. Shouts for the super chats, D. Midnight is prime cartooning time. I'm tripping though. I've been an early riser lately. Let's put some nasty shit on these ass cheeks. What's your essay about comics about specifically? Who are some good English cartoonists that I need to keep an eye out for? I confess that my knowledge of British cartoonists a lot, like, sort of stops with classic 2000 AD Deadline magazine dudes. Nah, no side hustles, man. My side hustles are my X-Men royalties and my hip-hop royalties. Cash flow assets, baby. Yeah, something about the Cooper font, man. Love it. Classic. It's that old school, like, press-on letters kind of font. You know, iron-on letter font. It's, what is, Beatles Pet Sounds. Beatles Pet... Did I just say Beatles Pet Sounds? You could tell I'm, like, having a hard time walking, chewing bubblegum. Beach Boys Pet Sounds. Blasphemy. Nah, no 12-issue subscription. Gonna keep it simple. And it's just like not unless like subscriptions worked in a day when there were tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. That's just not realistic these days. But I think we could approach that. You know, like I think we could approach those numbers, but no subscription. Fantagraphics is not a giant operation, and the logistics of that, I bet, would just freak them out. Closest thing to it would be get a pull list at your local comic shop. Like right about here will be the main knot for the rat queens. And then like getting these sweeping hairs, like for these severed heads. You wanna curves sell motion. Curves sell motion, so this will make it seem like this head's just being whipped around. But then you got the hairs that go like this, the kitchens, we used to call them when we were growing up. Those neck hairs. I don't even know why. What was that other good British one called Toxic, I think? Yeah, I don't know about variants. The more complication added to the mixture, the more possibility for certain fuck-ups that I can't control. Not with the homies that would be drawing it, but just like other logistical things. When we were doing the hip-hop issues, the single issues, there was one issue where I even received my comp box. There were no covers on any of the comics, all coverless. And I hit up the publisher, was like, yo man, all my comps have no cover. And Eric at Fantagraphics was like, what? Hit up the printers, and then 10 minutes later he sent me this photo that the printers took of a pallet of covers just sitting in their warehouse. Let's see. Let's do some gore. I'll probably bust some splatter out on this too. Yeah, I tried to watch that Faust movie several times, man. I think I might even rented it on VHS from Hollywood Video back in the day. Let's see. Some pubes. I actually tried to watch the Faust flick last year sometime too. Watched a little bit of it, but time is money. It wasn't that good. And I forget, like, in our shoot interview with Vigil, like, I think that he also acknowledges that it wasn't, like, the greatest. I do work digitally. Might be hard to see, but in Procreate, I do my like roughs, we'll call them, and that's where I use the perspective tool to grid my stuff off. The reason for that is because I like to just be able to move my drawings around like a little bit to just try to make better compositions. But then the darker lines you see are practical pencils on top. I don't use it for too much. And then obviously you need to have print ready files. Trying to figure out the wrinkles of these gross titties it's fucking a challenge, because I want them to feel like nearly empty pastry bags, you know, just like nothing up top. Oh, but I should put some veins in there, some spots. Let's get some shadows underneath this sleeper hold. Want to see my references for my well, I guess you don't see them on this page here, but do I got any? Like, you see my fat boy right here? Let me bust out my references for him. Plow. Look at that. Look at that shit right there. Poor bastard. This has been an invaluable resource for Red Room. Let's get some motion in. That's a sound of speedy hair. And because it's getting pulled with speed, then the parts that aren't a part of the knot have to come down and get blown around this way. And then the kitchens, got to do the kitchens. Don't forget the kitchens. Once again, I have no idea why the fuck they were called that. Got a good video for you guys tomorrow. Actually, we have a bunch of cool stuff in stock for your consumption. And there's a good helping of it that's very incongruous for what we're showing off right here on cam today. You know, some legit, actual, nice, good, wholesome comics. Yeah, gotta put like little bites and abrasions on this motherfucker. Cut you up. Lawler would be dope to have one on a shoot interview. So would Cornette. Wasn't there like a Cornette comic or something? Ooh, look at those. Like just these battle damage. Ooh, that's nasty. Ooh, and they should have like fucked up feet. Just like little cuts and stuff all over the feet. Let's get some speed. Jeff Darrow's huge, but I don't know that he's like an influence to the art in terms of the line quality. But here's what he shares with a lot of the great mangaka that I dig, and it's just the idea of like push it, just go further. You know, like just if you think you did something hardcore enough, you probably didn't. Like keep going. That's kind of the spirit that his art invokes in me. And then let's have some gnarly knots, like little side pubes. Nasty. Nasty shit. Let's put a little cut right there. Ooh, no, you know what? Because that creates a tangent. Got to be careful with those lines. We'll try that again in a second. Oh, there should be a little cut on the ass. Try to make that blood go with the shape of those glutes. Man, let's have a couple cuts on that ass. Nasty. Oh, this will be a cool one. You could have that shit drip all the way down to here. Who all pre-ordered the Red Room comic? Let me know. Let me know in the chat, man. Cause like waking up to finding out that we pre-sold hundreds of these things, very inspiring. Makes me very stoked to keep moving forward. The international shipping definitely a bitch, but if you're in Canada, you guys still deal with Diamond. You're gonna be able to get it at your shop, but you gotta let your shop know. Can't take it for granted, man, that they're just gonna grab it because it's a weird ass comic. Shops are pretty rigid in their thinking sometimes, and my work is usually under ordered. I always have my shit go into reprints nearly immediately because the shops get caught unaware. So just let your local shop know. They'll hook you up. Just one more time, man. There's that link. Hit that shit. Order that shit. Get multiple copies. Enjoy. Strange Adventures is such a good shop. Shouts to the homies in Halifax. Jimmy and I had such a ball when we went there. Can't say last year. Nobody went anywhere last year. 2019. Let's add some dimension to these fingers by just putting them in shadow. Let's see. Yeah, man. That Bravo for Adventure, that's a sick fucking book, isn't it? We both were, me and Jimmy Ann were like, we're embarrassed. Like, how do we not have this book for a year already? You know, it's ridiculous. And the fact that it's not out of print, but it might be now. Like that kayfabe effect is some real stuff. But man, let's put it to practice for some of our own comics. You know, kayfabe effect, Red Room, which by all accounts from yesterday, it seems like it's on that track. Super thankful. Super thankful. Nice. Thanks so much for the pre-orders on that comic, guys. Like the title suggests, we did hundreds already. Like let's fucking do thousands. Yeah, it'll be in previews. Probably the next one. But I'm gonna suggest that you just say to the shop, "Hey, can you pre-order that?" Because I don't want to bog people down with coupon, like order codes, all that kind of jargon. Like I hate that cartoonists always say that shit. Like let's not be so inside baseball. With respect to potential new buyers. Like all the inside players, we know what that stuff is, but just publicly when the time comes, I'll just say stuff like, "Yep, your store can order it for you now." Simple as that. No codes, no copy paste. They'll figure it out. It's gonna be cool too. Like we got a little extra space that Previews is hooking us up with to kind of sell the retailers a little bit. And one of the things at the very top of that little ad space is mentioned daily to tens of thousands of Cartoonist Kayfabe YouTube subscribers, because this platform has become increasingly just a valuable piece of real estate. The books that we talk about freaking sell out super quick. Nice, Mac. Thanks a lot, man. I'm gonna be doing a lot more streams now that the cat's out of the bag. But I'm telling you, like, all this stuff, this is a precursor to what the channel's eventually going to become. When Jimmy can let the cat out of the bag, with the stuff he's got going on, because you are gonna want to see those pages being put together. That's one of my great pleasures every week, man, is just seeing the next couple of pages he's got rocking. That's the last I'll mention that, for fear of fucking up. But I envision a day where, like, there's you know, like, he's streaming and I'm streaming, dueling streams, and he's hustling his stuff, I'm hustling my stuff. We got a fresh video out, and the channel then becomes a network, you know, where there's 3 possible things on at once. It's more. It becomes more than a channel at that point. Let's put some blood on this motherfucker. It's so funny because the eyeballs are all fucked up that when I turn it to the side, I can't tell exactly where the center of the head is. Alright. That'd be about the hairline. Just for art's sake, composition's sake, I'm going to pretend like this hair is behind, because I don't want to cover that up. Be too messy looking. And you've seen the Rat Queen enough times to know that the hair is already connected there. That was definitely one of these, like, super hard compositional problems while designing, you know, these 22 panels of these Rat Queens, trying to, like, keep super interesting compositions, but all their hairs are tied together, like. The Grand Design Omnibus, the X-Men Grand Design Omnibus, is sold out at our level. So you're at the distribution level. So I don't think that it's available through previews. You know, unless Marvel told me a lie, it's not available for previews. But, you know, Amazon has certain weight. If it's in your store, like, they have it, but they won't be able to reorder it once again, unless Marvel lied to me. But it's supposed to be reprinted in February. I have to probably thank you guys for that, even. You know, helping that thing move like gangbusters. Speaking of Bassett, I think that Jimmy and I, like, we've done some talk about Tyrant, and there was, like, the Palmer's picks with Tyrant, but I think what we should do, you know, like the videos that we're making now, we should do one of those on like the first 4 issues on the 4 issues of Tyrant, show them off, and, like, just, like, talk about the very specifics of the story. One of the just greatest kind of incompleted comics in history. Way ahead of its time. On these Rat Queens who are alive, I always try to make the hairs kind of straight to the knot as possible, as opposed to the dangling severed heads, because you want it to feel like they're just getting fucking yanked. You know? Just wrenching. Nasty. Ooh, but this one's gonna have like a little dangler. Then gotta have the hairs coming down into the face, man. Not all of them are connected. We did Fear Book, see White. We did a Fear Book episode. Great comic. The Scholastic stuff. Put some cuts on this guy. Cut there. Jamilin, I don't even know what that is, man. Age of Reptiles? Yeah, I don't even know what that is. Yeah, the camera's connected to the drafting table, so it's gonna move. I don't know if there's anything I can do about that. If I could put it somewhere else and not obstruct my process, because the process is everything. Like this video, I love it. It's super cool hanging out, seeing what you guys are about. But I can't be obstructing the drawing flow. That would defeat the purpose. Jeff Matsuda. What did we do that just had Jeff? No Jeff Matsuda video, but he is mentioned in a video that we recorded this past week. But I already forget what that video was. This almost looks like the Crypt Keeper. Doesn't he almost kind of like look like the Crypt Keeper a little bit? Expect more wobbles for a minute. Nasty. Who would even think this kind of nasty shit up? Would I have thought up something so ridiculous pre-COVID? Just being inside, not hanging out with all my friends, kind of allow these crazy ideas to creep into my mind? Maybe so. You'll know why they're emaciated the second you read issue 1 of Red Room. And, you know, like if you just happen upon this one as a first issue, it's explained. But I'm sitting here drawing pages, man. I'm not going to give the full story. But let's just say, if you're going to murder people for fun and profit on the dark web, you probably don't want to be murdering people who have family looking for them. Oh yeah. Let's get some gore in this one. Just make it seem like just craziness has happened, a frenzy. This should be the first episode of the Red Room TV show. Gore into the mix, got a little white into it. Some little pencil. Yeah. This top piece, I think I might ink this privately because I have to do all this foliage and stuff. And I could pretty much guarantee I'm going to be like, motherfucker, goddamn piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. I hate drawing leaves and shit. I got in the comics to draw this kind of crap. I don't want to draw foliage, but I have to. But that said, I have some, I put a little pen and ink reference for myself when I inked that panel. A couple great examples of tree textures and stuff. You got classic. You got the classic stuff. Milk Kniff. You know, like good brush application. And he really figured it out. You just dab this brush down and put some lines and you got your tree texture. But then if I want to get fine with it, you know where to go. That's good stuff. Toddle bin Beset on the 1's and 2's. Let me get this out of my life for a second. Great stuff. Terry and the Pirates, classic comics. The Tom Yates approach is cool. You know, it's very Wally Wood inspired. But this Toddle Bin pen line, like, here, let me shut this light out. You seeing that stuff? Holy fuck, right? It's amazing. Amazing. So after I draw this Rat Queens panel, I might shut the stream off for the day and do that other one. Watch a movie or something. Yeah, Tarzan's good. I have those treasuries too. This is going to be, I'll cut that off digitally and just put it inside the panel. This stuff is so ridiculous. And there's still going to be a whole nother level of detail when it comes to duo shade time, to pull out the different shapes and hopefully make things a touch more clear. Should be a few hairs coming forward. I do have ideas of what's gonna come next after Red Room. That's usually how things go for me. Like, I just let the ideas kind of swirl around for years, literally. Like I was gonna start doing this comic after Hip Hop Family Tree. It's just the X-Men thing fell into my lap, and I was just like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I do have ideas, probably 3 major ones that will be solidified into just one when the time comes. But this is gonna be a while. It's gonna be a while. Like, I think this issue. No, like, I'm not even at the halfway point. after this issue, then comes issue 6, which will put me at the halfway point. Alright, speed line time. So I'm going to basically, like, when it's time to do these speed lines, let me even see. I pretty much just kill one of those .005. Oh no, there's still some life in that one. I wanted to go with the contour of, or the, with the speed and position of that leg right there. Something a bit more jolly. Yeah, that's true. Like, I am pretty much like leaning into just like dark avenues for sure with this thing, but it's fun. You know, I wouldn't do a damn thing if I wasn't having a good time with it. And I actually have a potentially jolly Red Room story, if you could believe it. Like, I have a Carl Barks fucking Red Room story, if you can believe it. Wow, let me try to do this better for the cam. Hold up, where is, okay, yeah, right about there. Alright. Apologies for that wobble. Not too sure how to solve that, but you get what you pay for. Let me start about here. You have to wear my hat because if my bald head gets in the frame, fucks up the white balance too much when the light bounces off of it. I've done some experiments, some experimental video to see how that works. And the consensus agreement is, if shit's gonna pop up in the cam, let it be black. I'll take care of that later. See, this is the stuff that I would pay an assistant to do if I was a mangaka. Worry about people copying you. Address the paranoid concerns of other artists being overprotective. You know, can't worry about stuff you can't control. What's that one Kanye lyric? You worry about the wrong things, the wrong things. It's kind of cool. You got like all this hair selling all this kind of floppy movement. You got the blood geysers selling another round of floppy movement, and then you have this like rigid set of speed lines. going along with the action of that knee to the jibs. Not bad. Not bad. I'll live with that. Yeah, that's one of the things that I love about uh, the community that we've fostered with the channel. So many creative types. It's very freaking cool. And in the same way as like with Red Room, it's like make a comic that I want to read. Creating Kayfabe was like a YouTube channel that I would want to watch, you know? Like I mean it's exactly the kind of channel that didn't exist that I would actually check out while working on my own stuff. So if it doesn't exist, I might as well make it. And it's cool that you guys all found it too. Lines, 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 baby. Mania on the page. Mania on every page, I'll have you know. Congrats, Graham. That's huge, man. Under the weather with a deadline. Have I ever been in a similar situation? And yes, I absolutely have, man. I had pneumonia coming back from Angoulême in 2016, and I was working on X-Men. I came home. It started as the flu. I came home early, totally miserable, super feverish, cold sweats in the middle of the night, all of that kind of crap. Every time I would lay prone or just horizontal, just start coughing, couldn't quit, and got no quality sleep. I was working on X-Men Grand Design, and I still would get up, like, work on pages, but then it put me down on my ass, and I got pneumonia, bedridden for a month, and I still kind of worked because I just prepared new issues. Like I reread a bunch of Claremont X-Men in bed for a month and just put some ideas down for how to attack the next issue. So I was still doing work, but just not producing pages. Don't have any good advice about that, but I would say that you probably want to take care of your health first so that you can, do quality work for a longer period of time, man. There's no reason to sacrifice your health for this kind of thing. Health first. Cutting these speed lines into the image at very close spaces apart from one another is a cool thing for an illustration like this, because what I'll do after this is go in with a little white and just cut into those speed lines so it communicates like little bits of flotsam and jetsam coming off of these jerks. Just to add to the atrocity, make it feel a little more wet or something, a little more spongy, a little more DNA on the page. Yeah, that's true, Joe. Like the artist edition, the Ed Piskor Studio edition, flying. It was one of those books that was very shy about promoting for 2020 because of all the bullshit we were going through, and it's an expensive book, but people certainly have been buying it, and we're not going to reprint it. So if you want that thing, you better get that ASAP. And I think that Amazon does still have a couple of copies, but it's like under 10 copies I think they have left. Had two books come out in 2020, a $100 book and a $150 book, and that's when I was like, you know what, there needs to be some entry level positions, man. There needs to be some entry level books, and right there, boom, is the link to pre-order Red Room issue number 1. Get that shit. It's the stuff I'm most proud of because it's the newest stuff that I've been working on, and you will not be disappointed. Get multiple copies, give some away. Like let's create new comic readers. It's super cool that you guys are here, but we all have to be ambassadors for the forum. We all have to bring new people into the game to keep everything sustainable and to keep this culture going. So if you got horror fans, if you got people that like crazy shit, atrocity level stuff, man, if you got people in your life that are down with VHS horror movies of yore, this is the comic for them. And sometimes people don't know what they don't know, so you drop this on their head, they'll be freaking blown away. Just like the hip hop stuff, I've received so much feedback that way where they were like, I didn't even know this comic existed, and my ... fill in the blank, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, sister, brother got me this hip hop comic, and I can't put it down. Same thing with this, man. Like, one of my other thoughts was like create a new horror franchise, like Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers type shit. How trippy would that be if this is like the next Saw? Flash forward 6 years and there's a handful of flicks or something. Don't ever mistake me for like some Alan Moore type who'll be like, oh, fuck Hollywood. Shit, give me some loot so I can keep making comics. The dude who brought me in the game was Harvey Pekar, and he said, I'm willing to sell out, but nobody's buying. That all changed. Oh, this is going to be so cool, cutting in the gore on this right here. You'll see what I mean in a second. This might look crazy on screen right now, but when I hit it with the tones and when you could see it very clearly, it'll all make sense. I might have to get all up in the camera, man. You know what? Just forgive me. But I gotta get in close. Because I gotta see, make sure I'm not hitting anything important. See, because I'm starting to get like to the character right there. That could have been a disaster if I was sitting back. This is the part, this is the shit that gives cartoonists weird posture. These little hunchbacks. The Comic-Con hunchbacks. Yeah, this would have been a disaster if I was sitting back. You would have heard a lot of cursing. Doing these speed lines pretty much destroys this micron. Apologies for bumping the mic. Have you guys ever watched the documentary Cocaine Cowboys? I watched it last week. I've seen it before, but I rewatched it last week, and that kind of shit just amazes me, the balls of it. You know, I'm talking about the guys who had radio beacons and bales of cocaine that they just dropped into the Atlantic Ocean close to Miami, and had dudes with like little Arduino gizmos picking them up on boats. Then you think about like Vice City, GTA, and sort of how much they kind of got right. It's really cool. I love that stuff. I love when people get over. Alright. So this will tell me a lot of things that I need by just seeing this here. So like off the bat, one of the things I need to do is make this hair fuller. Don't want that shit to blend in. Maybe a little of this. Massive Panda, thanks for that super chat. Yeah, first issue of Red Room is going to be 64-page double size issue. Every single issue is going to be self-contained, complete story unto itself. No need to read all 12 to get the full. You know, it's not one story over 12 issues. It's 12 different stories. If you read them all, you get a way better understanding of the universe I'm creating. But times are tough, man, and I'm not going to ask you to invest in all of them. You know, I hope you show up. I hope to build the audience. But I think it's going to be pretty cool. I do sell original art, but I don't pursue it that, like, I have a bunch of patrons that not Patreon patrons, but, you know, people who will pay ridiculous amounts for this stuff, so they kind of get first dibs, as you could understand. Look at that gore. Come on, man. Cooperate. There it is. I write one Red Room story at a time before I start getting busy. So the next one is not written, and I'm not 100% sure of what it will be. But that'll get written completely before I put pencil to paper, of course. Yeah, that's the unfortunate consequence of the overseas shipping. It could be prohibitively expensive, but hopefully the comic is available in a local shop or something. And if not, the book will probably get a better distribution and be on Amazon in your country, so that you could, you know, check out the collection at least. These comics are, I'm sort of being malleable to every format that they're going to show up in. So it'll work as a book, you know, as the trades. It'll work as the big book. It'll work as the issues. Whatever delivery mechanism you enjoy. You're not getting, you know, the layaway version. Jay McQuarns. Everybody give shouts to Jay McQuarns. He did the Kayfabe intro, the little animated intro with the drum track, and the answer to the hair marker, 0.3. It definitely will not be treasury size when the book is collected. Probably around 9x12, because that would be like 100% of the size of the paper that most of the strips are drawn on. Definitely not treasury size though, because that would require blowing up the imagery. But the trades will be standard comic book size. No craziness there. So ridiculous, this comic. I fucking love it, man. It's meant to draw this fucker. Alright. There's some gore for the day. Happy Saturday. Happy gory Saturday. Anyhow, let me pop that link up one more time for you guys. Pre-order this comic if you're able to. If you're in the States, it'll be cheaper with the shipping charge. It's under $10 here in the States, including the shipping charge. That'll secure your comic and make sure that you absolutely get one. If you participate, like if you got a good local comic shop, by all means support your shop. We got to support these shops for sure. So let them know that the comic is coming out. Pretty soon they're going to be able to order it. You're going to hear me, say so essentially when it's in the books for stores to order it, at the beginning of other vids and stuff in the near future. I'm going to be banging this drum pretty hard, and Kayfabers, I want to make this thing a hit. This thing has to be a freaking hit. I want to get some more craziness into the game, and the only way to do that is to be right. And what right means in this context is success. And what success means in this context, selling a whole lot of copies. So we sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them last night. It's going to be fun to see what the numbers are today. Thanks to you guys in the stream. Super cool. And expect more of these streams as we move forward. Eventually expect there to be 2 streams going on simultaneously when Jim is in his compound and I'm sitting here in my compound, and we're both showing off the crazy stuff that we're making, because the Kayfabe boys are makers, we're YouTubers secondary. Anyhow, if you haven't done so, hit that bell icon so that when new streams go live, streams like this, you could hop in and be aware. I think I'm going to let this one live because the drawing is cool. But that's not a foregone conclusion. Sometimes I'll just delete the stream right after. Anyhow, such a pleasure hanging out with you guys today. It was good to kind of dust off the webcam and get back to streaming, especially with so many more viewers. Once again, we'll have fresh videos tomorrow, and I might even stream some more. So read more comics, enjoy your night, enjoy your weekend, stay healthy.